It's been a couple of days now, and we're going to uncover our soap and see what's happened in the saponification process. Unlatch this. Opening the door will allow us to lift this soap out without having a vacuum underneath, and it will lift out so much easier. You have to peel off some of this tape. Sometimes I just rip it, because we're going to cut it anyway and peel all that off. Here we go. Now we're going to peel this paper off of the soap. You can see that there was a lot of extra oats on there. That's okay. Sometimes you might find that some of this tape actually sticks to the soap instead of the paper, and that's okay. You just gently pick up the edge and peel it right off. We'll get rid of any other loose pieces here and then clean this surface up, and we'll cut our soap. You're going to see that this soap has kind of a brownish color to it, and that is due to the fact that when we covered and insulated the soap up, it went through a gel stage. And that it just means that the temperature was high enough, it all went through the gel stage, everything was saponified, and because there's milk in this soap, going through that gel stage turns the soap a brownish color. Now, I do know that there are people who use goat's milk, and after they incorporate their soap and pour it into their mold, they don't allow it to heat up. I, however, am not comfortable doing that. I really want to make sure that the whole saponification process occurs. It does not bother me. In fact, I think it enhances the color of the soap, its appearance, by having it that browner color. But I guess the purpose for people not allowing it to go through that state is the fact that it will stay a little bit more of a lighter tan or a creamier color than turning brown. We're going to cut this soap now, and I went to a restaurant supply store and I purchased this large knife. We built a little miter box here, and this miter box was just made with scraps. We didn't go out and purchase any new materials to buy this. This was just some scraps that we had on hand. We screwed the two pieces on each side, and we had cut with a chop saw on each side just to give a place for this knife to slide down. My hands tend to get sore in the slicing process, so I do get a couple of towels or hot pads to use over the top of the knife, and you'll see why in just a minute. And again, this is handcrafted soap. I'm not an expert in how to cut, but I do have a pretty good eye. So what I do is I put my soap here, and I look at where about the middle is, and I'll probably score it right there a little bit. I push it a little bit, and I look at where it is again, and I want to find the middle of that, which is about right there. And then once again, so what I'm actually doing is cutting this big square into 4 smaller logs. Okay, so I have those marked. I'm happy with what that looks like. And now, because this is so narrow, it hurts my hand, I just push down on the soap and slice them up. see, this soap right in here is still a little lighter than around this edge, and it's going to turn a nice brownish color as it's curing. This soap isn't cured yet, and it is still going to be a little harsh to touch with some of the lye, still not fully saponified. So if you'd like to wear gloves in this process, you probably should. I tend to not do that, but I do wash well and rinse with vinegar when I'm finished with this. Now, I could go ahead and put all 4 of these back on here, but I don't find that they slice quite as even, so I only use about 2 at a time. And again, I cut it in half. Now, each one of these is going to cut into 4, so I'm going to cut this in half again. I'm going to cut this little one in half. Those are finished. And I'll cut this one in half. You can see that this is a little bit of a messier process than many of the other soaps because of the flakes on the top. But just look how pretty that is. You know, customers just love these real oats on the top. And again, if they want something that's kind of scrubby, they can just use this end. And yet, it's not going to be real abrasive to their skin. You can see that this is nice and smooth. Yet that little bit of dotting in there is the oats that we incorporated, and that will help give a really nice lather to the soap. Now I'm going to show you what I do to make some sample soaps. I don't like to hand out full-size bars as samples, so what I do is I'll take a regular full-size bar, and I'll go ahead and cut this in half. And I recommend that you do this as you're cutting your soap, because with the way that this soap turns a brownish color during the curing process, if you wait to slice the soap after it's cured, then where you slice it and open it up, the inside's still going to have a little bit of a lighter color. It's not going to look as nice. So I recommend that you make your samples as you're actually cutting your bar soap. And I always make, I maybe take 4 bars of soap and turn it into 8 samples. If I don't hand these samples out for a reason, sometimes we'll package some samples together and tie them with a ribbon and sell them as a little set. That's a nice little idea too if people like to try some of the more popular soaps but they don't want to buy a full bar of like 5 different kinds. You can put some sets, sampler sets together. Now you can see why this is a real good selling soap. It's just so beautiful. It's very unique. And you know, I know there are a lot of people who package their soaps like they wrap them in fabric. This is the kind of soap you don't want to hide. It's just too beautiful. And if you create all of your soaps so that they're beautiful, they will just sell themselves. People will come seeking your soap. There's another sample. Setting out the soap so it can dry, and I just use the bookcase that I had in my rec room. I also have a couple of bookcases I clear things off of in my basement. The main part about drying soap is making sure that it gets adequate ventilation, and I like to use this bookshelf in my rec room because we have a ceiling fan in here and it really blows the air around and helps the soap cure faster. After about a week, I'm going to turn the bars of soap over to the other side, and a week after that I'll probably turn it another direction, and a week after that I'll turn it again. I like to cure my bars of soap at least 4 weeks. It smells so good in here.